Welcome to WWB Worldwide Broadcast. This is episode 6, and today we have a special guest with us, Aleckermit. Hello, Alec. Ooh, look at it.
How's it going?
Oh, damn, he hits the gym. I wasn't ready for that.
Surprise,
like
Jax. I had to save it for the big reveal. Yeah, there you go.
I love it. The face
Wait,
reveal.
I didn't get
and
to
the
see. I want to fucking see.
Oh, you're gonna just have to watch it the next time when it comes up on YouTube.
That's how you get the ad revenue. See, they keep starting it back from the beginning. The ad rolls again. Helping you out, Harry.
That's right.
But it's okay. we had some breaking news today in the Discord. We were throwing a couple ideas, and a lot of people were asking us to talk about a topic that I guess is pretty big for a lot of people. They want to know about cards like Angel that are on the banned and limit list, and maybe like how we feel about those cards. And I thought this would be a good opportunity. I mean, Alex here, he can also give his opinions on it, and so I just kind of wanted to dive into that and let's talk about it. So the question that came up was, why do we think Angel isn't seeing much play in competitive? And like, does it deserve to be on the ban and limit list? Basically, is the main question. But it kind of also just maybe we could also talk about the fact that it's like there are other cards that are on that limited list that potentially don't need to be on the limited list that could maybe not, or maybe the other cards that deserve to be on the limited list. I think that's always a big talk in the community because a lot of people like to get the pitchforks out and they're like, yeah, this card's too strong, we need to get rid of it, or oh, this card doesn't deserve this. So I think this would be a good opportunity since, like I said, the community was kind of asking for us to talk about it. And so maybe Tyler, if you want to start out, how do you feel about Angel first? And do you think it deserves to be limited? And also, why do you think it doesn't see competitive play since it is limited, which we think makes the card good?
When it comes to Angel, I feel like the reason it was limited was because during set 1 was when it was the main issue. It didn't have the text at the bottom of the card that said that it cannot be returned back from the cemetery. So it just led to a lot of like Angel looping and kind of unfun gameplay. Probably, I don't really know how it would interact with the cards now. The reason why I don't think it really sees much competitive play is because with 300 cards to pick from, or 300 and I believe 12 is the number, cards to pick from, you don't actually like there's nothing good enough that you would want to take out for an Angel due to the fact that you need to sacrifice a creature for it. Sure, it could be like a giant rat or something, but who cares for the most part? It's not going to be a threatening creature while on the field for the most part. I mean, you could obviously equip things to it, but usually you're looking for higher base stats if you're looking for a decent creature. And because of that, I mean, you already have Revival Priest, you already have Holy Light, you already have Ghost from the Past, so there's not really much reason to need a return with Angel. I understand in Gen 1 when there wasn't as much recursion and less weird things going on, but with the addition of the mix, like I said, I don't know if you would want 3. Like, I mean, maybe you could try it. I don't really know if there's something that's way too strong with 3 of them out there. But I just highly doubt it due to the fact that, like I said, Revival Priest, Holy Light, Ghost from the Past. And those are all things from Gen 1 already, so that doesn't even add any of the cards from Gen 2 to mix. So it's just hard to, in a 30 card deck, it's hard to make it make sense to be in the deck. So, but Billy, if you want to go next.
Yeah, man, you hit a lot of the good points. I think the biggest thing, I forget who made the comment. Maybe it was, I don't even want, someone made the comment that said Angel is just peddling Partridge, but you had to pay HP for it. And I'm like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. And you don't see, I mean, people might play one peddling Partridge, but like, you got Ghost from the Past and Holy Light. I mean, I don't know if I need much more graveyard recursion than that. Sure, there's some funny things you can do with Angel to like pull stuff out and put the giant rat, but yeah, I mean, honestly, when they went from Legacy to First Edition and added the qualifier of it sticks in the graveyard, can't be pulled out, that pretty much fixed everything with it. So I Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest reason it doesn't see play is that honestly, it's not the sack requirement, it's the HP. It's too,
It's 70
I always
on.
think of creatures. I always think of creatures as I have 300 HP worth of creatures to get through the deck, and so that's kind of like my allotment. And if you say, okay, Angel is 70 HP, it's like, well, that's almost a fourth of my deck, and basically a fourth of my deck, and
Yeah.
that's too much, for what it does. It doesn't have great attack, and maybe it could stick around for a while, but just to pull something out that we've only got 30 slots in the deck. I've got better uses for that slot. So, and if you say, well, what happens if you make it on, why is it limited then? I don't know. That's a good question. Am I going to play with 3? No. I mean,
I'm guessing.
that's
I'm guessing
210 HP.
that's what. I'm guessing that's when it was made. Was when you can like when they limited it was when it got the text or no? Could you play 3 in Gen 1 at any point?
I think it got limited in Legacy, and then they added the text.
Gotcha.
What's your thought, Alec?
But I mean,
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I think it's a completely unimpressive one sack. Attacks abysmal, and yeah, it's like I'd rather just use peddling partridge. The
You-
HP.
Do you feel like
Yeah,
the-
there's already
yeah,
enough to do it better.
Yeah, I don't think it should be limited.
yeah,
Is there? I feel like we should add to the conversation. We should all go back around. And I mean, is there any other cards on the list that we, would look for being less limited, or not limited at all? I mean, things could go to 2 cards instead of just 1, or just outright gone, and then vice versa. Any cards that could potentially be on the limited list, and of course why. This time we'll start with Alec.
Looking at the list, I mean, Watcher in the Wall now, that it doesn't send to the cemetery is not that bad. Um, there's no real way to cycle through your deck yet and get to the bottom or draw from the bottom currently. So that card is gone for a long time, but I don't think it's too horribly overpowered to send someone's card to the bottom of their deck. And I think it'll be
No.
less overpowered over time as we get more cards that let you rifle through your deck a little bit more. Maybe that's on like the maybe, and then what else? Perhaps is Turncoat that crazy?
yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
it's
yes.
debatable. It's
I have
feel
a
like
question
you give
about Turncoat because, like, I had this discussion with someone on the Discord just the other day. It's like someone wanted to put forth an idea for a card that like takes the opponent's card and puts it on your side. What happens when like you take someone's card, like with Turncoat, and then it gets sent back to your hand, and then your hand gets shuffled into your deck? Like, what happens with the sleeves mixing and you knowing where the card is because of the sleeve difference?
tech- Technically, that's just in the game
yeah,
right now.
Yeah,
yeah.
that works with
Like you'll
Turncoat as
obviously
well.
know where it is, but it's not like it's
Okay,
gonna
I mean
really help.
that's fair. Like,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Very unique,
There's-
right?
there's
It's
very
like
few-
you know what the card is. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
You can use their creatures too. You can
You
revival
play, like,
priest it back to your
Turncoat
side.
and then Wrath the old ones or something, and then it just goes into the deck.
Yeah. All right.
You'd have to double check the text because I know a few cards say original owner's hand. So
Yeah, but I
But-
think turncoat doesn't
There-
fall under that requirement. Usually, it's more the
No,
bouncing
it
cards.
would be
that-
the bounce. Yeah, it would be the bounce that has to say.
But it's a very interesting.
Turncoat
Bounce
literally says something like switch creatures with your opponent, the equipment falls off. That's literally the whole thing.
That's it. That's the card.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like you said,
One thing actually, I wanted to ask Billy this. Me and Harry were having quite the debate. So Turncoat, it says switch primary
Yeah.
creatures with opponent, and then the second text says destroy all equipped equipment. I guess if
right.
your creature has lead boots, so I have lead boots on my creature, they play Turncoat. Does the second
play.
effect destroy the lead boots, or does the second effect not go off because of the first effect not being able to happen?
Card never plays.
Yeah, that's what
It's
I
tough.
figured.
Yeah, Lead Boots was made in mind with bounce and turncoat. So
Yeah, we'll definitely need. I would like double confirmation from Tommy or anybody, but
The creators.
that was
but
my side that I was on.
either way.
But
Sorry,
it is
let's.
a weird.
I'm gonna rein
Yeah.
us back in because we're gonna get ripped through this the limited list and unlimited list, because like you said, we can go down each individual card, but like Alec kind of threw out a good shout out, like Watcher in the Wall, Turncoat, those potentially could maybe come off the limited list, right? And I think Angel, as we all kind of debated, I mean, at this point in time, I think they made a text in the card now, because since they were able to use that reprint of Gen 1, really help make a lot of these cards kind of get them off that limited list. And I think that's honestly what I see from them going forward, is like they want to try to find ways to be like, let's not have a limited list. I'm sure in their mind the perfect game would not need that limited list, right? It's like, we don't need to balance the game ourselves, we should let the game balance itself out, right? And so it's like, I'm hoping that's kind of where they're trying to go with it. But as we
Well, that just one bit about that. I feel like that is a hard thing, because, like, yeah, like you said, if every card you could have 3 of it would be balanced. But I think having the limited list. Oh, sorry. Having the limited list, I feel like makes it so you have more flexibility with building cards for the future, because it's like they may not have created like Mysterious Door, a Junk Scarecrow, Ghost from the Past Visitor, blah blah blah. They could have made all those cards with only having one in mind. And I don't know, I guess I don't really know what happened. Like, did they do multiple tournaments where you could play 3 Mysterious Door, 3 Junk before that? Like, did they have tournaments like that? I'm not really sure.
The original tournaments, there was no limited list. The limited list was born because things happened.
Gotcha.
Like, people
Yeah.
were playing with 3 Mysterious Doors, and they just kept getting their magic cards returned, or they played with 3 turncoats, and it was just, you just kept swapping creatures the whole match.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is just annoying.
Yeah, I think you could definitely see where, like, you could have a game where you could have 3 of every card, or you could have a game where you intentionally build cards with having one of them and only one of them in your deck. Like, before it even gets to the public, it's already limited to 1 card, which would be very interesting. But sorry to cut you off.
No, but I can see your take, because like that, you're kind of giving the argument for promos. That's literally exactly what they did with promos. They built all those cards with only having one in mind. So it's like, you're right. There is exceptions to what I see. I from what I can get, though, is that is kind of where they want to get. They want to get these cards off the limited list. If that means they have to change the text, if that means they, some way they have to adjust those things. And like you said, I think the reprint really showed us that, right? If you look at the reprint, they put those different texts on those cards so that they could get off of this list, and so that they were actually just fine cards that they don't have to always think about when it's just like, oh, is this card ever going to be more problematic in the future, right? I think that's their intention going forward. So again, like you were saying, it's like, I guess by saying that, let's just, one more topic is just talking about, is there any cards now that we think potentially might deserve to be on this limited list, just because we've seen how the power has been showcased or shown. Oh, let's start with Alec. He seems like he's ready to talk about it. What's the card, Alec?
I've talked about Irresistible Love, and that comes up, it seemed like, every talk. And I don't want to go on about it, but I listen. I'm not the top player here at all. Like, I'm a pretty inexperienced player, all things considered. I don't think I'm like naturally skilled at the game or complicated. Not that this is a super complicated game, but I was never good at Magic the Gathering for that reason, that I could never keep up with all the moving parts. But hearing the top players talk a little bit more about why Irresistible isn't as big of a deal as you might think. There are plenty of counters to it, and the game can adjust around it to tackle Irresistible. I'm cool with just sitting back and seeing how the meta develops on it. That's cool with me. But other than Irresistible, that could potentially be limited. Sword of the Jungle. Oh my god. Yeah, there. No, screw that.
That might be a hot take, Alec. You might have to say that for another time. But
no, I mean, Assassin is always there.
Ooh,
It's
okay.
the most playable creature in the
Fellow
whole card
assassin
game.
limiter. Let's
Well,
go.
like you said, in the meta right now, sorry, I don't want to take it from you, but in the meta right now, I think you're right. Assassin is one of those things where, yeah, maybe people initially get that vibe from Assassin. I just think it's like, we really, I mean, I can't speak for Gen 1. Billy, I mean, it has been changed. It's been nerfed in regards. I feel like it's potentially maybe not as problematic as a card, at least in my opinion. Again, Alec, I mean, I understand, like, it's like, I've seen how oppressive that card can be firsthand, and like, it sounds like you kind of have seen it too. I mean, I threw on that Ward Bowl tournament, and what happened, a lot of people were running 3 assassins, because I think they all can really easily see the value of that card. I would be a little hesitant. I meant, I mean, Tyler can speak on this. Maniac got kind of hit with like a really like fast nerf, and to be honest, we didn't really get to see it played in the Gen 1 with the Gen 1 mix in it before it even already received like some kind of nerf to it. So it's like I just get a little worried that people's reactions can kind of sway a lot about how people interpret these cards. Like you said, I think we haven't seen enough tournaments or enough play with all these cards in play yet to like issue a assassin. But you are right, it is probably one of the most common cards so far played with the mix.
And I think Assassin's going to get worse over time. I think there's no way that it just gets better or stays at this level with the release of every set. It's 10 HP, and we're going to have chip damage, burn cards, more and more of that field damage. If this creature doesn't have this, it gets hit per turn. Like, there's going to be more of those every single set, and that 10 HP is going to feel really, really small. Sometimes that assassin's not even going to like hardly make it onto the field just because of chip damage. It's guaranteed that we're going to get more of that.
What's everyone else's kind of feel? Is there a card that you're thinking probably needs to get on that limited list that we have right now? Billy?
I came prepared to talk about what's on it, but what could be added to the limited list? I'm on the opinion that we should limit assassin even with the nerf. I just think its ability to just snipe gigantic creatures is gonna make it hard to play bigger creatures.
Ooh.
Boo! Yeah, I love playing it. I mean, I agree, but I mean, there is like an insane amount of counters to it. I mean, yeah, there's going to be more chip damage. There's going to be more ways to knock it off the field. I mean, shoot, look, if you think about how many ways people try to counter Scarlet, pretty much every one of them works for Assassin. If you're going to put a Scarlet counter in your, it's also going to work doubly for Assassin. And 3 Assassins doesn't hit quite like it used to. I mean, 66 average damage was
4 plus 8
everything.
was ridiculous. Like, that is so unfair.
It was more than a creator by 1.5. I mean, come on, dude. So
what's max damage? I was just doing it in my head. It's like what? 4 plus 8, so 6, 12, 24, 24, 48 times 3. Like, you're killing almost anything.
All right.
You're killing anything.
All right, we're not deep diving assassin here. We're just talking about what cards we're putting on the limit. So what's the?
Yeah. I don't know. There's been a lot of talk about Wrath of the Old Ones. I was curious to get y'all's opinion.
No, Tyler, what's your thought on Wrath of the Old One?
I think it's very strong. I mean, obviously, me and Harry were both running it in our decks, and me and Harry were running it in our decks, and Bill, you had some in yours as well, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. So, I just think it's a very strong card. It's kind of like a multiple case use card. There's a lot of different things that you can do with it. Resetting creatures, you can even end the game with it at some points.
How do you end the game with it? Oh, if they
like if someone's last creature they sack for, I don't know, sack Baby Dino for AL11, you play Wrath the Old Ones, they don't have anything to sack left, and they just lose the game. Yeah, same thing with Judgment, Foolish Tricks, like all those cards have that same win con in them. But yeah, I think it's very, very strong. Harry was kind of using a strategy with it in that you can basically have a lot of like equip cards or field cards in your deck when you play Wrath the Old Ones, and if you don't like what's in your hand, you can just dump them all on the field. Even if basically play Wrath the Old Ones, you could bounce, 6 total cards, you could bounce 5 equip cards and or field spells, and then the creatures, so 6 cards, and you basically reset your hand.
Alright.
Which is very good.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And kind of, if I could give my own personal opinion on Wrath of the Old One, it's kind of similar to what we were just talking about with Angel. And I think there is a lot of cards that ended up on this limited list. And I know me and Alec have had to talk about it, and I'm sure I'm having to talk with you guys too. There's just a lot of stall. And what it is it's a stall card, and it's very powerful in being that stall card. It slows the game down tremendously. Every time we talk about it with people at tournaments, it's like, that's what it does. It makes it so that your creature resets, its HP resets, like you guys were saying, it's basically a whole board reset, and all it does is slow games down. And so it's like, I am not a fan of a card that only goal of that thing is to kind of slow it down. Like, we could bring up all the other little cool, unique abilities that Wrath of the Old One has, like Tyler, you were bringing up. Like, you can get other cards out. There's other ways you can reset your hand. You can do all these things, but it's like at the end of the day, it's just it's almost like a waste of time. It's like trying to do like a little bit of a reset. That's like just resetting the whole board. And I think you're right. I think it's way too powerful. It wastes way too much time to do. You have to put all your cards in your deck. Your opponent has to put a card in the deck. We all have to shuffle. I have to play a creature. They have to play a creature. Regardless, I agree. I think that card probably does need to be limited. Sorry. And
I think I think it also makes one of the other limited cards on this list, Revival Priest, way more strong, because if you always wait till you have Revival Priest on the field to play your Wrath of the Old Ones, you're just gonna keep taking it out of your graveyard, and you're basically just never gonna have a cemetery. And then if you have Holy Light in your deck, you could do the same thing with, like, you basically just have infinite creatures. It gets kind of
Not quite
ridiculous.
infinite.
And not
That's interesting,
infinite,
'cause
but it makes it really hard.
I didn't expect y'all to say that. Wrath of the Old One is my favorite card from Gen 1 because it's got a lot of tech to it, and also I just like the art. But I mean, if I think there's essentially two ways to play the card. You could play it for the tech of like playing with a Revival Priest or trying to just wipe the board. But if you're trying to play it in a tournament setting as a stall card, you're going to get called for stall and get DQ'd. So does that mean you should limit it? Like, I look at cards should be limited if it breaks the game at 3.
Yeah, I mean, Alex.
And I don't know if it breaks the game. I think you just get called for.
I want to get Alex to
Yeah,
too,
yes,
but I kind of, just to get my word in, Billy, like, I agree with you, but I think it's one of those things where, again, like, it is quite a stall card. I mean, we all could sit here and kind of point out the stalling aspects of the card that don't function as fast as like other cards do. But anyway, Alec, what's your thought on Wrath of the Old Ones? I don't know how much practice or understanding you have with the card, but
honestly, I have 0 play experience with Wrath. But I did pull 3 of them from a single starter once.
Woo!
It's on video. There you go.
Well,
but,
from what you've heard,
all this you're talking about it is all news to me. So,
but from what you've heard, like, what's your thought when hearing all these things? Like, is that something that you would think is too powerful, or does that sound like it's not that crazy of a card or effects?
sounds like it potentially should be limited. Yeah, I don't like cards that purposely stall the game and serve no purpose but to just reset hands. That doesn't sound very fun. I'm surprised Billy thinks that's a great card.
Well, I don't think necessarily like that's what it's for. I mean, those are probably the best case uses for it, but there's other ways to use it. It's just that's probably the optimal way to use the card.
And to Billy's credit, and again, Alec, we're not trying to do devil's advocate, but like, to Billy's credit, he is right. Like, in my opinion, I love the aspect of the card because of the fact that when I did use it in a tournament, you basically, if you have a creature in your hand that you want to get out, and I kind of explained this on the last episode, you can play Wrath of the Old Ones. What it does is it bounces your creature back, and like, at least for my Elkanos deck where I have limited summons, it doesn't bounce all my limited summons back. So it's like, now if I need to get an assassin out to do extra damage, if I need to get this card out, let's say I need to get out a Kendo Tiger to destroy Irresistible Love, another good example. Wrath of the Old Ones allows that play to happen. Now what we can debate is that something that Ward needs in the game? And like, again, as much as I love to say that Ward has counters to, like, almost every card in Ward can have a counter, has a counter, or can be countered, I think a card like that is just very powerful because you get to be the person that gets to play that card. If I play Wrath, you try to negate, I play Scroll of Silence, that card goes off every single time. And resets the whole board, basically. Resets my opponent's
board. Scroll of Silence on a Wrath, though?
I'm just... we're
yeah,
just,
I know. I get
for
the
debate. I'm just saying, Billy, this card is allowed to go off, and if it goes off, it not only affects me, it affects my opponent as well, which just in itself takes up a lot of time. And like, I'm not saying that. I mean, we could talk from the Ward Bowl. No one was playing Wrath, but even those games were going to time. And so it's like, in a game right now where I really want to respect the value of people's time, I'm sure everybody does at a tournament, it's good to try to have cards that aren't being used to just stall out the game. And I think Wrath is just one of those cards that eventually gets put in that bucket of it stalls out the game because it causes a lot of doing things over. And yeah, all right, Billy, we'll bounce it back to you, but then after that we're moving on because we're not gonna
That's fine.
deep dive Wrath either.
I hear you, and you have valid points. I don't think cards should be limited just because they stall the game. Because of that argument, then Giant Turtle should be limited, Demonic Turtle should be limited, Judgment should be limited,
Yeah,
Loving God should be
inherently.
limited. Like there's stall cards, and you need to have stall cards in the game. And people who use Wrath to stall will get DQ'd. And the reasons that I like to use it and then you used it in the tournament were not the stall ways. They're using it for the tech to reset or shuffle or draw or try to get some other mechanic out of it.
And
It's a
I don't
unique
even.
card.
But the interesting thing about you talking about like stalling is like there. How can you even stall with it? Like, yeah, sure, you can be doing some stupid stuff, but even me and Harry were talking about like Holy Light and Visitor from Beyond earlier. I was like, why is Holy Light? Why is Holy Light have the text that you can't pull it out of the cemetery? Like, because of that text, like Visitor from Beyond gets a little bit nerfed, but like Ghost from the Past, you can Ghost from the Past, you can Holy Light for another creature, and then you can also play Visitor from Beyond on Ghost from the Past to pull out another creature. And like that could also be just looked at as like stalling, but like that's not really stalling. You're playing the game.
Yeah,
So
a
it's
lot of
like,
the game I think is going to evolve into just having less HP in your cemetery when it comes to time. Some decks are just going to play like that.
but
I don't know.
but
Maybe.
then that's the other thing is like, okay, you're like Harry's tournament. You had like games go to time. Was there any games that even went to time in the tournament that we actually played at? And then on top of that, most of my games were done in like 20 minutes, and there's 45, 50, whatever the 55. I don't even know whatever the time limit was. I think it was an hour actually. I think most of my games I was done in 20 minutes. So I just don't.
I mean,
And I was playing Wrath the old ones, so I just don't understand how.
Right, and I agree with you. And I mean, there's two differences between a tournament where everybody's allowed to have any card that they want, so a lot of people can bring more than
No,
what they brought
I
to
guess.
But and at the
Still.
same time, with your take too, it's like not everybody had Wrath. Like you're right, we did have Wrath, and like I understand. We're not saying that the game it does cause stall, but I just think it is another card that you add to that pool of like this card does kind of like slow the game down in a sense, and it's like I believe with the bounce mechanic that resets HP too, that also in itself just makes the game go longer because it's just more HP. Kind of as Alec was saying, it's like it's more HP that you have to like put in your graveyard, or it doesn't even go in your graveyard and it doesn't even count towards those numbers. And so then when, like he was saying at the end of it, it's like you could just build decks around. Let's just keep things out of the graveyard. You know, it's just another mechanic. Like you know, I mean, you bring it up all the time, Tyler. It's a race to 300 HP in your cemetery, and it's like okay, but if cards keep stopping that from happening, it makes it
And then that's one less card that they have to do that again. So how do like you just it's a further journey that I have to make. But as I'm taking down these cards, so as I kill a creature, they Holy Light. Kill another creature, they Ghost from the Past. Kill another. Eventually, they're gonna run out, right?
right. And then again, we like I said, I can understand the argument for why it doesn't need to be on the limited list. And like you said, I mean, it's not up to us. I mean, we're just here trying to discuss it, trying to kind of cover the basis of it. And it's like, I agree with you. I like the card. Like Billy said, I really do like the mechanic. I think it is a very like skillful card to have in as a card in Ward. And like, I really like to put things that have their own little unique taste in Ward that other card games don't really, involve, or it doesn't really have like that kind of feel to it where it's just like, oh yeah, at a high level, Wrath of the Old Ones is an amazing card, but some people could also just use it to reset HP or whatever the functionality is. But yeah, I love that we're getting deep into it, and like you said, I think there are a couple cards that it sounds like even like the Ward staff are definitely thinking about. Like, unfortunately, I'm sure they don't want to put it on the limited list, but they definitely want people to talk about it. And any final takes on it? Is there any other cards maybe that you think we might have missed about that might need to come off the limit list or anything before we move on?
I'll just put oh, go ahead, Tyler.
Oh, I said I think we hit most of the points, but we didn't hit your point.
Oh, I was gonna say I have a fun questionnaire, a riddle of sorts.
Riddle?
Okay. Yeah, riddle me this with giant rat. Okay, so since we've established that Angel can't be pulled out of the cemetery because of its effect, why can't giant rat be removed?
from the limited list?
Yeah.
I mean, my biggest argument, I would say, honestly, you probably could see what it looks like with it removed. And again, does somebody want to put 3 giant rats in their deck? I don't know. And like, if you do,
Not me.
right, it's like if you put, it's a weird card where it's like you almost only want 1 copy, like maybe 2 copies if you're an AL12 deck potentially. But like you said, at some point, it's kind of a risky strategy. So it's like, I guess you're right. Maybe it doesn't deserve to be banned. I guess, or
No,
like
they're
not banned, sorry, limited.
It has to stay on the limited list. There's a combo that requires it. I'm seeing if y'all can figure it out.
With other things?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the riddle. I didn't realize I was
That's
supposed to
the
be trying to
riddle,
figure
yeah.
something out.
Well,
There's
for
a-
time,
there's
Billy,
a
you might
There's
specific-
something that
for
breaks.
time you might have to give us the riddle because I don't want to use up too much time here. I want us to move.
That's fine.
Here, give us literally 30 seconds. Just Harry, we do this all day, boy.
Tyler wants to
Hey,
figure it out.
three giant rats. What breaks?
Yeah, what breaks by having 3 giant rats?
Is it Phoenix?
It's Phoenix.
Yeah. See?
Yeah.
Give me
All right,
a little
all
bit of time,
Everyone
brother.
give Tyler an applause.
Time.
He cracked the code, guys.
Fuck
Well done.
you.
I like it. I like it.
There it is. Yeah, if you have 2 giant, if the end of your deck is 2 giant rats and a Phoenix,
Yeah,
you
you
will
just
never
win.
lose the game.
It's infinite.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because every time Phoenix dies, it goes back to your
Go
hand.
back to
sack
your
the
hand,
rats
and then
to
you
put
just
it back
sack
out.
2 rats. Bring
Giant
it back.
rats go to the deck. Yeah, you draw them again.
Well, thank you for that, Billy.
True.
Definitely a cool thing. Yeah,
All
I
right,
did not know
that card cannot come off the limited list.
There you go. Fair
Too
enough.
strong.
All right, I like the
is-
riddle, but I think maybe we should
You limit cards because it breaks the game.
Right. Well, let's move on. Let's move on. Talk about more cards that potentially we want to add to Ward itself. And I made a segment. I'm calling it sexting. Ooh, very very cool and seductive. But basically, we're gonna talk about text on cards and effects and how some of those ideas. I'm sure you guys have been in the Discord. You've seen the magic ideas, and if you're not in the Discord, get in the Discord because there's a lot of cool ideas, especially from Aleckermit up here. I mean, when I first got into the Discord, he was the #1 man that I seen putting in a bunch of different card ideas, and so I just kind of want to go down that avenue of, oh hey, what are some cool card ideas? What's some thoughts that we have about card ideas going forward for Ward? As we were saying, there are a lot of crazy cards that they've had to limit. Like what do we kind of want the Ward team to potentially, maybe think about when they're going forward making cards? And so with this, Alec, if it's okay, I'm going to give you the floor, and maybe you could give us some thoughts about how the Ward team could work on making new cards.
Yeah. So first of all, it's an illness, not a gift, that I have creating all these cards for you guys. But yeah, it's so funny. Sometimes I will wake up in the middle of the night and like a card will come to my head and I have to like type it into send it to myself on Facebook. It's I have some kind of
Just wakes up in a cold sweat.
Dreaming of
At
war.
least you've acknowledged that it's a problem, but you even if you can't stop it.
Yeah, I'm constantly putting card ideas into the magic and creature card ideas threads on the Discord. And what I've come to understand as more and more ideas come and I try to push like the creativity limits, I've realized that if you treat all the text underneath the attack and modifier as effect, we start to hit some walls in like what we can do as far as creativity and in balance with creatures. Because right now there's not really a reason to put like negative effects on a creature card. Like for example, one of the first creatures I thought up that I really liked, like I just fell in love with the idea when it came to my head, was Sleeping Giant. It's this like AL 11 110 HP or something like that creature, and it's like 7+7 or 8+8, like really high attack. But his effect is that he comes into the field asleep and cannot attack at all until he's hit by like 3 different attacks from any sources. And so with that, if that's treated as an effect, like all text is right now under the attack, then you could just Iron Range, you could Mind Sap, and all of a sudden you've got this completely busted creature that's very hard to hit, that hits way too hard, and it would just be terribly imbalanced. However, if that's, we'll call it a permanent attribute, is indeed permanent and not negatable, then I think that card remains balanced because your opponent can refuse to attack you, right? and or leave it up to you to damage your own sleeping giant through something like Ignitima or something like that, or some kind of field ship, something like that. So what I'm pitching is that we should have not only just effects but also permanent attributes. Maybe we could do this by, you don't even have to add extra text. Maybe just having like a rule added to the game that if the text under the attack is in red or italicized or in brackets, something like that, that is not negotiable, that is absolutely set in stone no matter what. And that way we can have cards like Sleeping Giant, like a couple others we've come up with in the creativity Discord.
Right.
Another
It
one
just
here in a
allows
sec.
more card design, right? It opens up another
Yeah.
whole category of like, here, these cards can also have their place where they have negative effects, but also just don't become overblown or broken because of negating the card's effects, right?
Yeah. Another example is this Cyclops creature I created on the 3rd of this month, and people seem to like that. And its permanent attributes is that it can only land a hit with a hit roll of 10 or higher. And this is a creature that's a 1 sack, 100 HP, attack dice 7, no modifier. And so if you just get rid of that attribute, then he can wipe the board with anything that's an average of 6 or less AL.
Right.
But with that permanent attribute, it makes it to where you have to like add hit roll modifier to him or buff him in some way to actually make him usable. So,
How does
You could
Um,
also
how does everyone feel about like that? Like kind of what Alec was bringing up, having two different kind of like text on a card, one that's like their attribute and one that's just kind of their card effect. What's your thought, Billy, on that?
I th- yeah, I think it's a great idea. Being able to expand the creativity and options of what the creature effect does is great. And the one thing I was thinking of is like, instead of making it like a separate other attribute you have to add to the rules, is that you just at the end of the text say this card cannot, or this creature effect cannot be negated. It's sort of like how the creator's gift bottom is, this card cannot be negated on activation. Just do the same thing for creature effects, which we haven't had yet, and that's something they can add pretty easily because it's, you don't have to add any rules to it. Just you read the card. Oh, I can't mind sap it. Great, good to know. Oh, Iron Range doesn't work on it. Cool. And then you
and
can
the
keep
only the
those.
only issue with that, the only issue I've foreseen with that is that it's just extra text, right? It might get a
Sure,
little short on space with some effects. So
that's
that's where like
fair. Yeah,
just like changing the font or something and just letting us know, hey, that's permanent.
sure,
Well, they
makes
could
sense.
even they can even do similar things where they could just put like a symbol like next to the effect or something. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, just the idea in general is great.
Yeah, I think when
Yeah,
you
and
can.
that just came naturally as I wanted to make cards, like the cards I wanted to have made just came to my head, and I put them in the thread, and then I'm like, oh wait, that doesn't exist. Oh wait, that doesn't balance. It just kind of naturally appeared.
Yeah, it would definitely. I don't know. It would be very interesting because with stuff like that, you obviously run into. I mean, would you have to completely change? Like, would you change any of the cards that are in the game already? I mean, would you
No.
give any? No, you just keep them all the same. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's
Yeah.
any
I
problem
think
with
it
what
just
we
gives
have. It's
you.
just like this expands the creative options.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I.
there's only so
Yeah.
many ways to balance a card, right? So if you give it one
Yeah.
more way to balance it, now you can do more things, like
Yeah. You
giving it higher
give
attack.
more
But
levers and pulleys. The
Yeah,
more you
like the
got, the more you
scaleless
can do.
dragon. I don't know if y'all saw the scaleless dragon idea. I keep mentioning mine, but I swear other people have made a lot of cards too. But scaleless dragon, he's like a 3+6, 12 speed, and 80 HP. I think I put him as. So that's like really good. But his permanent effect is that if he takes any damage at all, he bleeds 10 for 2 turn cycles. Right. So like that high HP goes down fast. But like facing like an assassin, he probably has the upper hand off the bat. Like he can retaliate and kill it pretty well. But in a turn or two, he's sinking health really quickly.
Well, I think you had another one too. Oh, I had it and then I
Well,
forgot.
Here, I'll take it. There was another one that someone made where I remember it was like weak spot, and I was kind of curious to get your guys' take. What do you think about a mechanic in the game where it just instantly destroys a creature? Like, depending
Had
on,
some of
obviously,
that.
it
That
could be
was
like AL
Alex.
value. Yeah, I can't remember exactly who did it,
Yeah.
but do you know what I'm talking about? I think it was called weak spot. I think, yeah, Billy, you talked to him about it. Like, this is kind of OP
I,
if you like can break this card because it's like you're just instantly killing a creature.
well, so actually, that was my card I pulled up. I wanted to talk about because it's a really cool idea. So I'll just read it. Weak point, Magic Infinite, uncommon. Equipped to opponent's creature, this card cannot be negated, destroyed. If double, triple sixes are rolled against the creature, resulting in a critical hit, destroy the creature. When this creature is sent to the cemetery, return this card to your hand.
I know,
I don't know about that part.
insane.
But
I added that.
He's going deep.
I
He's going
don't
deep
know
with
about
it.
but I do like the idea of you know, if you roll like a certain like if you roll a natural crit, that it should have like some added benefit because I mean to be honest, they don't happen that often. And if you're gonna say I'm gonna commit a card in my 30 cards to hopefully hitting a weak point on this creature without it getting destroyed because it's an equip, right? Then that's kind of a risk reward to it. And I think it's kind of a fun card. Um,
Yeah, I think it fits in that
maybe
category.
maybe
Oh, I just said I
maybe
think
it
it fits
doesn't
in
go
that
back to your hand.
category is like Scarlet, where it's like again, it's like oh, if I put more dice on my opponent's creature, now they don't have a good chance of right. It's like there still is counterability to it. You can prevent that from happening, and like you said, I think it's not like it doesn't have any like at least the way he designed the card. I would be careful with other ways of building the card, but it sounds like if you put the careful steps in there, it's like you can make it a viable card where there is counterplay to that card, right?
I mean, Melody and Junk Scarecrow. There's your stop. If they hit you, okay, I'll block it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but I just think it's interesting. Sometimes other kind of cards come up where there's like kill if it's a crit. It's like, well, maybe not a crit. I mean, maybe it has to be very specific because you want it to be a high risk, high reward kind of thing. But I think it was a great idea.
Right. That. What about you, Tyler? What's your take on cards that instantly kill creatures?
Definitely don't like them. I feel like there's always going to be like a way to break them. If there's like I don't know. I mean, you got to think. Even if it's limited to one, you get one. You have Holy Light. You kill the next creature. You play Visitor from Beyond. You play the next creature, and then you have an assassin on the field, and then you kill another creature. And you just killed 4 creatures in one turn, and then just not for me, brother.
Yeah, and
I ain't trying. I like winning, but I ain't trying to win turn 1.
I come from the mindset too. Like you said, obviously in this example, it's like it's very hard to get this thing to go off. But I agree with Tyler. Is this a mechanic we really need in the game? And it's like when I look at the bare bones of Ward, it should be creatures battling it out. It shouldn't be
Well, cards
super.
that are like insta kills, like Apocalypse, perfect card. Like it's like probably kills your creature if you get hit by it, but it also doesn't happen very often. And when it does, it feels great or awful for whatever side you're on. So I think that's like basically. I mean, you could basically have Apocalypse just be this card kills if you fucking roll matching
Yeah,
dice, and
Well,
no.
so what if it
what would be the
was
difference?
what if instead of as a kill card, it was like it does 3x instead of 2x, where it's like you still have to roll pretty high to kill it, but it does more damage than a 2x.
Yeah, and that's where
But we are, but
we
we have
already have those.
backstab, right?
Yeah, and that's the things like
But
those
it's
cards.
but I mean, it was an uncommon, so
Right.
it's great value backstab
Oh,
with a
yeah,
condition.
But like you said, it kind of
yeah.
falls in that
True.
category then where it's like it's just a weaker version of another legendary card or whatever, which is not a bad thing, but I agree with you. I think
Yeah, it's perfectly fine to have.
it's a cool idea to bring up that it's just like at any point, how do we feel about insta kill? Like I guess back to you, Alec. Maybe
Well,
how do you feel about like an insta kill mechanic in the game? Is that something?
I mean, I didn't really think of it as being a problem. There's already some insta kill, like assassin plus backstab's kind of insta kill for like 90% of the creature pool. But
that's exactly what I was thinking. That's an insta kill card.
Billy, so funniest thing, in the was it the practice tournament? Yeah, Billy and I faced each other first, and I put out a green dragon, 100 HP. He puts out. He's like, "This is a meme deck. You're gonna beat me, man." He puts out an assassin. He like backstabs and does something else, I think, and it was like 107 damage, and I was just like, I felt like crying.
Like
He killed me in
Dragon's
one hit.
Bane. Was it like Dragon's Bane or something he put with it to just
I
get it
don't,
normal?
Oh, he didn't do that.
Oh.
I don't know.
Wow, no one
I'm
gives love to
sorry.
the
Yeah, but
Dragon's
that,
Bane.
but that's the thing. Like even with assassin and backstab, yeah, probably a one shot. But now if you start messing with magic, like now you're like, when I assassin backstab you, that's it. My turn's done. I mean, I could play magic, but that's fine. If I start killing your creatures before I even go to combat, and fine, I play an ignite I kill your assassin. Even if you play another like 10 HP, maybe I have something else. But if it starts getting to be like, oh yeah, I have this creator. Oh, he's dead. Here's it. Oh, he's dead too. Oh, you lose. Like I don't want to play that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. I was thinking of only in the context of combat, so you can't do multiple creatures a turn. You know
Right,
what I
it
mean?
would just be one turn. Hopefully it wouldn't be a card that you could just keep pulling out of your graveyard and getting endless
Well,
value. But
that's just
Oh,
my
no.
nightmare. Like it's like,
yeah,
like
nah,
I don't want to play. I don't want to be like, oh yeah, I won. That's
A-
GG.
and
You
just
See
don't
ya.
want to.
just
You
to
don't want
try.
a Yu-Gi-Oh turn 1 FTK.
Yeah,
Right,
I'm
yeah,
not trying
no.
not trying to do it.
But just to transfer over, I mean, another mechanic, at least in my head. I mean, you guys can all share your things that you were thinking, but like when it comes to new card ideas for like the Ward staff to think about, is like, what do you guys think about like endless hands, or like hands that have no limit? Like what's your take on that too? Because I thought that was very interesting. I don't know if I've seen any cards yet that really brought it up, like changing your hand limit, but I do
Can
know that
you
in other
define?
TCGs
Oh,
that you could that there are cards like Magic that it's like, oh, now you get endless hand limit, and it's just like, is that, how do you feel about that?
I don't know. The first thing my brain goes to is Twister, 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 Dragon Twister, Twister, and then I'm gonna play the first law. It finally has some use in the game.
Yeah, the first law. Let's go.
no.
But aside from that, I don't know. I mean, I don't like maximum hand size because it's like some of the. I mean, I've even won games where it's like people just only have creatures in their hand. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, I have to sack all of my creatures. Like, what? Any way I have this, I can lose. Where it's like, if you start being able to have every single card in your hand in your deck, I mean, obviously you're gonna play them, but I like the decision of being able to, like, yeah, it feels really bad when you're on the other side, like Harry was at the tournament, where it's like you have to discard. I mean, I've made Chris discard 8 cards on the start of his turn. Feels awful, but that's something in the game. If he has a maximum hand size, it's like now he just has half of his deck sitting in his hand and every option that he could ever want. Like the 30 card deck size and then the 8 card hand size, like
Good
really
ratio.
keeps like things in check, if that makes sense.
Anyone else?
Billy, Alec.
Yeah,
Personal,
short answer, I agree with Barry on that. Absolutely.
yeah, no, like personally, I despise unlimited hands. I, like you said, Tyler, it's like you're just taking a mechanic out of the game that literally like affects everyone else, and it's just like, okay, like, yeah, it's a cool thought process. Like, what if I did have an endless hand? Like, what would that look like? And like, I like the thought of it. I don't like the application of it because, like you said, again, back to how
We're gonna end up with Aura Sniper having 21 counters in his hand.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want
like,
that, bro.
Well, yeah, and
I
like,
don't want it.
and like you said,
I don't want it.
and like you said though, it's just like back to like other cards we were just talking about being on the limited list and things. It's like it just does things that like the game doesn't really need. You know what I mean? It's like I don't think the game needs that. It's like you guys were saying, the 8 hand size actually is a very fun and impactful thing where it's like I need to care about what I'm getting rid of. If I need to, keep what magic I have in my hand and I have to sack or like discard a creature and put HP in my graveyard, that it's fun that's a meaningful decision you have to make, and I think it gives more life or like more pressure on opponents when it's just like, here, these are things that I need to think about. I have to think about if I need to sack a creature or sack a or like, sorry, not sack, discard a creature or discard a magic. And so like, I agree with you. I personally do not want cards like that in this game, and I don't think this game needs that. So I'm kind of glad that you guys share that. It sounds like we all kind of share that opinion. Anyone else?
Hell yeah.
Just covering any more thing. I mean, Alec, did you feel like we flushed out kind of what you were saying about just like card effects. I mean, I don't know if we all kind of gave our take. It sounds like everyone was in agreement with you. I think it would be cool. I mean, as a card player myself, just having any more added text on a card definitely helps with clarity. And I think also just like we were just saying, gives it more levers for the game devs to pull to make, powerful cards with negative effects or powerful effects that have requirements or whatever. Like you said, it just opens up more doors. So it's like, did you feel like
Yeah.
we
I mean,
got on that?
and on the opposite end of the spectrum, you could also have a permanent attribute that's like really strong, and then the rest of the card is really weak. That's another option that that this opens up, not just for negative effects, but mostly that's what comes to mind, like a creature with a downside that can't be negated. Outside
What
of text changing, there's also the big untapped thing with Ward is like the backgrounds, right? And the creature attributes like wings and things like that. There's very little cards that actually play off of creature backgrounds, creature type, a little bit more so creature type, but yeah. So like there was an idea I came up with called Bramblefield or something like that, and it's like creatures take chip damage every turn or every turn cycle maybe if they don't have wings. Give you an incentive to play something like the Old God or
Ooh, right.
I I do like the idea of stuff like that for like more of like a casual feel, but I think in the competitive sense, it's like when I'm deck building and I want to try and win a tournament, I am trying to have a deck that has cards that can deal with every single situation when it comes to every single card. And cards like that make it so it's like, sure, if I'm like Entry, for example. Entry, I already think it's an awful card. It's just not in competitive. I'm usually talking about competitive. In competitive, Entry is awful. Like, okay, I'm playing against the Maniac. Yes, he's holding a sword. I finally get to hit double damage, and I have a 1+6 stat line. It's like, yeah, that already feels garbage. But even if it was an 8+8, he's a perfect shark now. If I'm not fighting the Maniac, it's irrelevant. So it's like obviously like something like that is like ridiculous because it's like if you had an 8/8 stat line, probably be a very good creature. But say let's dumb it down. He's a 2/3. If he's a 2/3, yeah, feels good if I'm playing against somebody that's holding a weapon and I get my effect now. But these are like very conditional requirements that add like it adds my deck isn't as like it what am I trying to say? It's not as consistent. Like it's not going to perform against every deck as good as I would want because this effect is on my card. Where it's like I said, in a casual sense, love it for. I mean, I there's like the competitive scene, the casual scene. Like there's a bunch of different scenes. I'm obviously more in the competitive scene. So I obviously understand that the game has to be designed and cards have to be created with casuals or like people that aren't trying to win every tournament in mind. So I agree that is a good effect, but I just don't. Those cards get like very shoehorned into like, here you need to do this or it's not good. I guess.
I guess for me at least, for taking it from you, Tyler, I just think you got to be careful with how flexible you make those cards, because like as Alec was saying, it's like if you make it a very like individual situation. If my creature has wings, this is awesome, right? That card is awesome for a creature with wings. You're like, I don't have to even worry about this card. But like you said, it's like if you start making it too flexible, where I feel like it just starts to do way too many things, you got to be kind of careful about that, right? It's like it should only have that one individual purpose. If that purpose is, if it has multiple purposes, like you're kind of saying, Tyler, it's like now every deck just wants to run this card because it counters way, or it does way too many things, or counters way too many things. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah, that's also like the toughest thing about designing cards. Like, okay, so like the Entry, for example, when they're designing the Entry, they're like, okay, we have to keep this in mind, we have to keep this in mind, and now we also have to keep this in mind because we have this card with this effect. I'm saying that like I would rather just have a different effect on that creature than have that effect because it's like this effect is going to feel great in some scenarios and other scenarios is not going to feel great in. The fact that he deals double damage, he's a 1+6. Even when I deal double damage, my max damage that I can deal is what, 24? Like, okay, why? I could just use any other creature and deal like more, and that's a legendary. It's like, okay,
right. And
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
we could get
Maybe
on,
maybe that's a hot take from me, but I don't know. I
I mean,
do I won't like. I enjoy that they make those cards, but I think when it comes to actually like being at the top, like they just will never. They'll miss the mark every time because they're not consistent enough to do what they're trying to do against most decks.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, meta dependent, right? I mean, that's kind of the word I like to use for it. Is just like they're meta dependent, right? I mean, how do you feel about it, Billy or Alec? Like, is that kind of what you think too? Like, do you have a different take on like obviously Alec, you made the card, but I'm sure it was just kind of like this is a cool idea, right? Or was there more?
Yeah,
To the
I
card?
usually don't do a whole lot of like mental balancing. I do on the card stats, but not as like how it fits into the card game
Yeah,
that much.
I don't want you to think I'm just sitting here shitting on your idea because like I said, I think it's a great idea. I just don't think those cards like are able to be as good as other cards, if that makes sense.
I agree. I 100% agree. And like something like Holy Water or Dragon's Bane, you know, those aren't.
Bug
But I
spray.
still like you. I like that those
Contrary.
exist because like no matter how competitive this game gets, the casual scene is always going to be bigger. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
I
it's
agree.
cool that those cards exist.
Yeah.
Another thing that they could lean more into is like the archetypes of cards, right? Like I had this idea for a card called Stink Bug Man, and when he dies, he like creates a poison effect if you're not bug or undead, right? And so that
Right.
was like, what would be immune to that? Well, bugs would probably be immune to that, and of course the undead, you can't kill them with a stench, right?
Right.
So that's kind of more broadly scoped, where it like it's probably going to be a really good effect. But then you know there might be some incentive to play more undead creatures or more, for God's
Just
sakes, more
as a,
bug creatures because they don't get any
ju-
any
yeah,
games.
just as a funny joke, it's like pulling up to my tournament in like 2 years playing War, and then I have to pull up the weakness chart like in Pokemon, but for
Yeah.
Ward cards.
Yeah.
It's
like,
another level of intricacy
Fire
that
beats
could be there. You know.
grass beats
But
Yeah.
rock.
I guess for the overall thing though, like you said, it's like the game gets very stale if like we were saying, if a card covers every basis. I mean, there's probably a couple cards in War that we can kind of talk about like that, where it's just like they sometimes do way too much. I mean, I think Irresistible Love is a very good example of a card that, in at least in my mind, that might be a hot take, but Irresistible Love covers so many bases. It covers getting damaged. It covers, stopping magic. It covers, basically your opponent not getting to play anything, so that it fills up their hand. So it's like, those are cards where you got to be very careful, I think, when it comes to like that deck design, kind of like you were saying, like Tyler, it's like you also don't want it to be too weak where it doesn't do anything and it feels kind of useless to play. But like you were saying, it's a card game. Every card game has a card that's like maybe not the greatest, and there's always a better card, right? And so it's just like, I just really hope that they don't go too crazy with like trying to make cards way too flexible, because again, I take from Yu-Gi-Oh! Is kind of the card game I came from this one, and what ended up happening was they made a bunch of generic cards that every card or every one of those generic cards could be ran in every deck, and basically what happened was it inflated the prices and everyone has to pay a bunch of money just to compete with other decks, because the cards that were generic and super powerful, everybody could just run it, and it just made deck building very lame and very boring because everyone built the same way. You didn't need to do anything different with your deck. It already had that inherent built thing in. So like, I really personally, I love the design of Alex's card. Cards like that where it's like a very niche scenario but potentially in the right meta, this card could be amazing if you know it will counter what the meta is. Like, I think of Assassin. It's another good assassin counter card. Assassins don't have wings. It's going to take 5 damage every turn, so in 2 turns your creature is basically dead unless you have a way to stop it. What's your take, Billy? Sorry, I feel like we haven't got you in here.
I have a simple take.
I like it.
Let people have fun cards in the game, whether they're good or bad.
Heck,
They can't all be
Hell
good.
yeah.
I love that. Like you said, everybody's got their own side of where they sit. Tyler, he brought up he admitted, he's like, I like competitive scene. I mean, I'm kind of more towards the competitive scene too. But like you said, it is good to make sure there are cards that just people can have fun with. People can look at that card, that stink bug card that Alec was just talking about. It's like, that sounds like a fun card. I mean, I would love to bring it up. Like, I also think like Jester. When I first heard of how Jester works, I was like, oh, that's a silly, goofy card that like is kind of very niche to bombs or whatever. But it sounds like a really fun card to play. And like, even if it never sees competitive, I'm glad it is in the Ward game because it's fun. It's a fun, cool card that people are like, I want to build a deck around this. I want to build a deck around this card. So it's like I love that aspect of Ward too.
Yeah, it's like Apocalypse. Do I think it's good? No, God no. Is it cool when it goes off in a tournament? I don't know. Never done it, but I've had it done for me, and they looked happy.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think just getting everyone involved, you know, everyone has to roll the dice and everyone has to see, oh no, is it going off this turn? I don't know. And
yeah,
everyone just gets
that's
to
the
kind of play.
craziest when it's just like APOC. It's like if it goes off, someone loses. You just have like 10 people surrounding the table, and you're just like, oh, 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 oh!
Yeah.
And the game's
That's
over.
one of
fun.
Ward's strengths for sure. Is
Fun.
like surprising swings and control. There's few card games that have that. I used to play the Pokemon TCG a lot online, and I had some competitive decks built. And I swear, like you knew who was going to win in the first 3 turns. Like there was
Yeah,
just always
it's like whoever has the
landslide.
first hand.
Yeah,
Whoever
you
has the
draw
better
the
first hand.
Yeah.
Palkia Dialga Arceus, that card that dominated so hard, probably still does. But if you
Yeah.
drew that early and got it set up, it's like you knew. And in this game, like
Wait.
literally anything can happen. Like the finals that Billy lost. Sorry to bring that up, Billy. But you know, it was just that one card he didn't have a counter for, and and that was it. Or like
Yeah.
I played Jeremy the other day, and I was absolutely whooping his butt. And I can't remember what he did, but he did one little combo, and like I was just completely shut out, like last minute.
Yeah, I mean, similar games happened to me in the finals with Harry, where it's just like back and forth, back and forth. Like at one point, I'm like, yeah, I'm sitting comfy, like I got this game, and then all of a sudden he plays something. I'm just like, oh shit, like I don't know what I'm gonna do now. Like in the second game that he beat me in, at one point I had an assassin with revival priest and ghost form set up, and he had 2 Alkanos left. He ended up playing turncoat to swap our creatures, even though he wouldn't get the assassin, just so I would have an extra Alkanos in my deck, and it would basically mess up my entire cemetery. I was sitting so comfy before that, and then he played that, and I was like, it still didn't set in until later on into the game, and I was like, oh shit, like that played back then when I was like, what's this guy doing? And then ended up winning him the game. So
No, yeah, no, definitely a
Excitement
fun
at the end of the
finals.
day, you know, it's good for viewership, especially.
yeah,
If there's ever like a competitive viewing scene for Ward, I'm sure it would be pretty exciting to see clutch wins.
And
yeah, swings in the game. It's not like you see one creature go down. It's like, oh, look at that, he won. Like,
well,
oh.
and kind of like you were saying, Alec, it's like you brought up the whole Billy scenario. It's like even in that Billy scenario where it felt like Tyler had the total counter to him, Billy, if he at any point just rolled the dice he needed to kill Scarlet, he could have killed. It could have worked the same way, right? It's like you could still get through that. And
He
I
was
think
trying.
That's
He
another,
really was.
But that's another beautiful thing about Ward, like you said. I think that is the
Roll
fun.
harder, Billy. Roll harder.
I think that is a fun aspect, though, is that
Skill issue.
there is always that potential, which I think you're right. A lot of other card games that are TCGs that I've seen struggle from that. Like they have cards that feel like they're so oppressive and they shut you out to a point where you honestly don't even think that there is a counterplay to it, right? And maybe there is, maybe there isn't, but like Ward always has at least a chance. There's always a chance, so you feel like you're in the game. Where a lot of other TCGs, like I was saying, you just can feel very like choked out, and it's just like I can't even play at this point. If they get this one card out at this specific point, it's just over. There is no coming back. Where it's like that is kind of the beauty of I find of Ward, and like I get a little worried that if we ever start moving towards that mark of like there really isn't as much dice rolling, or dice rolling stops mattering, or like I think that is something you need in the game. As much as it is sad to be in a tournament and I lose to some bullshit like that, no offense, Tyler, if I do lose to APOC, I am going to be frustrated. But you know what? I'm not going to sit there and go, my opponent didn't deserve the win, because they did deserve the win. They're the ones who decided to make that decision to play that card or do whatever. And it's just like, as much as there is
Psychic Toad, baby.
it's like as
That's how
much
it
as there
goes.
is an RNG, maybe I do win because of a random crit. It's like that is the moments. Those are the moments. It's like those are the crazy like highs that we can get from this game, and I really hope that the Ward team, like you said, really focuses on that to make sure that it's like that is the fun that is coming out of the game.
I'll mention 3 in tournament moments that I remember like it was yesterday because they were just so great. Oh yeah, I've had a lot of great games. Billy played against him, went down to the last creature, number 3. playing Maniac versus kind of like a Bunnysaurus Steam counter kind of deck, if you want to call it that. Ended up coming down to Maniac versus Bunnysaurus. I knew he had, well, I didn't know actually because I asked him to his face and he lied to me. But he had a Steam Rex in his hand. I asked him if the Bunnysaurus was his last creature. He said, yeah. And I had a naked Maniac, so I was like, well, fuck it. We ball. I attacked, hit, killed him. Won the game right there. That saved me the game. Moment number 2, playing against Chris. Killed 2 Sharklings. All he has is a Sharkling left in his hand. He's like, I just want to FF. I was like, brother, keep playing. You never know. You're never out in this game.
Oh, that was a
Next
crazy
turn
game.
comes to him. Great White. Passes to me. I draw. I attack again. Get him down to 4 HP. He's defeated. He's like, I just want to FF. I was like, brother, draw one more card. If you don't get your card, you win. It was a perfect shark. He evolves again. I was like, damn, that's crazy.
Oh.
He blew up my creator's gift, so I knew I couldn't just instantly hit him every turn. It's like, well, I got an all-in-one, and we went at it. Came down again, same thing as me and Billy's game. Naked Maniac with all-in-one. He's fucking charging his Kamehameha. He got that, baby. He made it.
It's funny you bring up that anime at the end because it's like that's literally what it feels like sometimes. Like you were saying with that Nelson game, it was almost like you had to face the final boss. It was like, oh, you think he's almost dead, and then it's just like, nope, here's the next level, and you're like, all right, now I have to get even stronger and beat this guy, and then he's like, nope, we still got the other level back, more on top of it, keep it going, and like you said, it got down to a point where you were literally both about rolling your final roll. Whoever got the hit would have won the game, and that, like you said, it's awesome, and I love that.
And you got to get the number 1 moment. Did 3 and 2. Number 1, I'm gonna have to say it was against Zach at the tournament in the lock where we played the one-off tournament. He ended up putting Apocalypse in his deck. I had Undead King out. This Apocalypse goes off. I lose the game. And I think it was like 7 or 8 turns where everyone was just around the table, like just every time. It wasn't a matching. It was just like,
and like you said,
and the closer I crossed at the end of the game, right before, I was like, I knew I was gonna kill him on my turn. Passed to his turn. I knew we were gonna have to roll 2 more times, and I was so stressed.
But
it was
that's
brutal.
the thing. Like you said, though, you're like the way you view Apocalypse. You're like, oh, Apocalypse is a bad card, but it's like it might be a bad card, but it is definitely a fun, maybe nerve-wracking for you, but everyone else, it gives those moments where everyone comes around the table and they're like, whoa, like what if this goes off?
It's like the final moments of like a football game, You're cheering on, and it's like, does he hit the Hail Mary or does he not? He's so far behind, but if he just maybe, he might match those dice and win the game from it.
Right. It's like name me another TCG where you feel that moment. At least I don't think I've ever played another one where I get that moment of like, this could be the end of the game. Like everybody needs
Usually
to watch
other TCGs, you see someone grab their deck and go through it 8 times and then play a 16 card combo, and then that's game.
No, exactly.
My moment before I have to. Oh, are you ending it? Sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say, is there any final thoughts? But here, you take it, Alec. What's going on?
I have one moment, and I definitely have to get off after my big moment. So I was playing Boodle in a tournament. I think the official online tournament, and he had me at 280 HP in the graveyard. Right, my smallest creature in my deck was 30 HP, Demon Dragon, and he killed my creature. That's what put me at 280. I mulliganed my hand, I think, for 4 or 5 cards at the most. What did I get in my hand? 2 Demon Dragons, Eternal Dragon, and I was like back in it. Like, it was crazy, and he had a Cosmic Demon out as well. So.
That's awesome.
So, that's awesome.
I went from like last turn of the game to like actually being able to confront
win.
Again.
Yeah, that's awesome.
No, I do gotta go.
Sure. Like you said,
but yeah, we'll say bye to Alec, and then we'll go for a couple more minutes.
Well, and by the way, Tyler, sorry, I called you Harry early. Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
Well, like you said, if Alec's okay, maybe unless you really gotta go, you can go. But
no, I think he has to go. Yeah.
Well,
I'm backing away.
Okay.
Well, we appreciate you coming on, Alec, being our second guest of the tournament, and we appreciate the love and support for the community in Ward, and keep coming up with more card ideas. They're great. But thanks for joining us, man.
No, thank you so much, Alec.
Keep your salute between here and here. Definitely not diagonally.
Hell yeah.
We know how that goes.
Awesome.
See you guys.
All right. We'll take a little break. All right, guys, we're back off the break. Alec was able to make his exit. He dipped out before it got too crazy here for the final end of it. So I guess going over, was there any more final thoughts or things you guys wanted to talk about? Like, I know we had a couple discussions. We talked about, just the limited ban list. We also talked about, card ideas that we might think the ward team might want to know. I mean, is there anything else that we feel like we might need to talk about?
Well, I feel like I had one topic, but we would literally be able to talk for like another hour on it. So I don't know if I should bring it up.
Bring it up.
Yeah.
I got nowhere to be.
Well, I'll just bring it up for Billy since I don't think he got to like try it out. But have you ever played D&D, Billy?
Not really.
Not really. Gotcha. Well, basically with the whole like RPG thing that they were doing, when we were in Hibbing, they showed us the whole RPG thing that they have for it, and it's like pretty cool. Like we basically all started. It was like a party of 10 or 11 people. We had way too big of a party, but he was obviously just trying to get everyone involved so they could actually try it out. But gave us all like a baby creature. So Chris somehow got the Sharkling. Who knows how? There's like baby dino, giant bat, squirrel. You get what I'm talking about. Basically, all the one like dice roll. Yeah. So then we, went fought some creatures, and then when the creatures died, they usually would like equip like a mysterious traveler, so they get +6 speed, and then they would, when you kill them, you basically get to get the creature, and then you also get to get the equipment, and then divvy it up amongst the party. All creatures re-heal at the end of the battle, and then you basically keep going and deck building. And obviously there's kind of like the DM or the person making like the campaign, and they like create the scenarios and obviously the different creatures you'll fight and assassins. And like Joey, for example, he had a Giga on standby that we weren't supposed to see, but he's like, if any of you decide to split up, you're getting a Giga. It's like, yes, my squirrel, he'll take down the Giga.
It was honestly way more D&D like than I thought it was gonna be, if that makes sense. Like it was very open-ended, I guess. Is like, it wasn't like a very like structured, like in my head I was like, okay, this RPG thing might just be like, here's an encounter, fight, use the cool ward cards, and then like, here's another encounter, fight, use the cool ward cards, get whatever, maybe one card or whatever their thought process was with rewards. But no, it actually turned out like, here, you guys are in a party, we're gonna either go to the castle, the desert, or this lake. And it's just like, which way do you want to go? And I don't know, it was like, obviously depending on whoever's in charge of it, they can decide how open world or open feeling it is. But I was very blown back by that. I was like, that's a lot of pressure to put on a DM. But I guess if you're kind of, let's just say you're a group of people playing D&D, it's like very inviting for them. It's like almost like a structured way of like a campaign of like, this is the ward D&D, it's like, I don't know, it's kind of cool from that.
Why?
I like the idea of like, oh, you're just gonna give a box of bulk to a DM, like, hey, here's some creature magic cards, make a campaign out of this and just start divvying it up. Like, that's kind of cool. Like, it's a really good way to use your bulk, and then you can kind of work your way through all the levels of cards. And I don't know, I'm a big fan of it.
Well, and I was even thinking, I mean, as you progress your character or whatever, you can kind of have like your primary starting creature that you would pick, or at least in my head when I was picking this for Harry, we didn't really pick. Well, we kind of picked, but for example, I gave to Chris, like, he likes dinosaurs. I was like, okay, you start as the baby dino, you progress through the campaign a little bit. Now you're a raptor, so now your baby dino gets swapped out for a raptor. Keep going, stronger. Now he goes to a T-Rex. So now you take the raptor out, have the T-Rex, and then I was thinking, it's like, oh, maybe your T-Rex, like one night he's just gone. You're sleeping, you're resting, taking the night off. Woke up, T-Rex is gone. It's like, where did he go? You investigate, you see there's kind of like a cart. It's a cartwheel path. Right. You go to a cave, and there's the steam cult in there, and they transformed your T-Rex into a steam Rex, and like, now you have to battle it. But then you battle it, now you get it back.
Not to cut you off, Tyler, but like you said, you can kind of see that it's like there's a lot more like thought into it. It's way more like, depending on the person, you can make it very like your own feel and your own thing. And it's like, if you want people to be able to go do all those extra things, or if you just want to be like, here, let's make it an encounter. Here's another encounter. Here's another, it was a very open thing. And I guess I was very caught off guard, at least when we first started. I was not sure what to expect, and that is kind of what had happened. And again, me and Tyler went to that scrimmage, and I think that scrimmage was a kind of a really cool idea for them to do. And I know that they sent out a post before they did the scrimmage of like, here guys, just remember, like, we're just trying to have, like, the main goal is to have fun, which I agree. The main goal is to have fun. And I think it was kind of cool that they had this new take of like different ways to play Ward, and I hope that they kind of keep thinking about those things going forward. I'm not sure how exactly it'll all play out, but I thought it was pretty cool. I know that you went to the Curious Crow, Billy, right? Is
Yeah.
that how it ended up happening for you for this weekend?
No, Curious Crow was just open play. So there was a couple, like, they had announced that there was a couple new people who were like all trying to get an award, or like, curious about it. So, a couple of us went who been playing for a while, like, yeah, like, we'll sit down. So like, I played a couple games with Chase, who's, part of that, Mason, Jake, all that crew down in Delano, and then Brian from Shakopee came out, and a couple other guys, and just some new people who hadn't played before, some kids who were like, oh, we just got we just got some cards, and we're just figuring out the game to play. So like, Tom taught them how to play, and they were off to the races. I had a funny game in one of them. One of the younger kids, he was like, yeah, you want to play a game? I was like, yeah, sure. So I put away my, like, the deck I was running, which has a lot of good cards in it, and I was like, "What do you have?" And he was just a bunch of bulk, like, commons and uncommons that someone gave him. I'm like, "Hold on, I'll be right back." So like, I go buy a starter pack, I come back, I'm like, a crack. I'm like, "Okay, let's play with this." And so we're playing the game, and I play a blue dragon, and he was like, "Whoa, what is that rarity? I've never seen that before." And I'm like, "Oh, that's a rare." And he was like, "Oh, I don't have one of those." I was like, "I'll tell you what, kid, you beat me, and you can have the blue dragon." He was like, "Ah." So like, we got
That's
down. It was like,
awesome.
it came down to the wire. We both had less than 10 health. It was the end of the game, and it was like, it came down. I was faster, and I'm like, okay, I have to hit your AL11. I rolled the dice, barely missed. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me! And he
Oh,
responds back. He kills it. He's just going nuts. He's like, oh, the blue dragon. It
that's
was just,
awesome.
those are the kind of moments I think is fun. So it was very laid back, very casual.
We all know
Just a bunch of
you would have gave him
casual
the
games.
dragon, even if you did kill him. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
oh, maybe
But
not.
he didn't even know that,
I know,
He'd
but
heard,
it's
he'd
just,
heard it.
I'm just, but like you said, it's just awesome to see that it's just like the involvement we're getting with, like, a lot of people have kids, in the Discord, and also just like you said, it's like, it is cool that it is inviting to even like that child audience, because yeah, it's like, I'm not gonna lie, it's like the artwork on the cards definitely can still be very like kid friendly, like we were talking about, like Baby Dino and other baby creatures. Like, it's not all like scary creepy monsters. Like, obviously I understand that Gen 2 was like kind of supposed to be Undead Invasion, so it's like they should kind of have some scary theme to them, but it's like I do love that, like you said, we're getting a lot of attention from young kids too, and I really want to see a ward where there is that diversity of people in the game, where it's like it isn't just a bunch of older people that are just like sick of Magic or something. It's like everybody wants to get involved with this game, and I think the ward staff do a very good job of like making the game very inviting to everybody.
Yeah.
What do you think, Tyler? I mean, Billy was just kind of narrating that story. I thought it was a pretty funny story with the kid.
Sorry, ask one more question. I was talking with Hope. She was in here for
Oh no,
uno momento.
you're good. I mean, like I said, we were just kind of getting our final thoughts. I just wanted to talk. Billy was bringing up his experience at the Curious Crow, but I just think overall, we were talking about the RPG. Billy was talking about scrimmaging. I just, again, I want to reiterate that it feels like they want to make sure people remember that it's like, this is a fun card game. As much as we want to get nitty gritty, I mean, like you said, Tyler, you're a competitive player. I'm a competitive player. We get pretty deep into the weeds of like serious, like hardcore, like ward competitive scene. It is fun to make sure to take that step back and be like, hey, this is still a fun game. This is still like, we enjoy the game, and I think that they want to make as many ways possible in Ward to have different game ways to play the game that can involve more and more people, and I think that's like just the most wholesome thing that Ward can like give to everybody who wants to get into the game. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we kind of don't like Scott's kid Gage. I think it was kind of cool that he showed up to the tournament and he was having a good time playing with everyone, opening packs. It's really nice to see, a little bit younger of an audience get into the game. Me and Harry. I mean, Harry has 4 kids. I have 3 kids. I'm sure we're both, just waiting for our kids to grow. Get a little older and start teaching them how to play war. And then next thing you know, I mean, depending on how the, health of the game and the life of the game is going, it's like, maybe they end up going to tournaments and take the number 1 rank off of me. You never know. But yeah, it's always nice to see Scott, Gage. I mean, having them there at their first tournament was really nice, and seeing them again in Hibbing was nice. And yeah, it's good. It's cool. I think once those young kids start cooking up decks, we're done for, boys.
Yeah. What's your thought, Billy?
I completely agree. There was something really funny that happened at a card combo that I never would have conceived of, but these two 10-year-old kids played it, and I was like, that's hilarious. One of them was playing with a guide, and then the other guy was playing with, like, I don't know, some other creature. He ends up, the kid with the guide, which if you remember, when you kill a creature,
Yeah.
then with the guide, it heals for half of that creature's HP. So
Yeah.
he kills it. He's like, all right, I'm about to heal 30 damage. And he had like 20 health left. And then as the creature goes to the cemetery, the
Poison
kid
potion.
plays poison potion. It was like,
Hell
you have to
yeah.
take 30 damage. And then it killed the guy. And I'm like, that's awesome.
That's funny. You
That's
picked up
crazy.
on that. That's funny. Tyler picked up on that. I literally just was like waiting to hear what Billy was gonna.
Immediately.
I was like, what happened, Billy? And Tyler's like poison. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I see where this is going.
Yeah, as soon as he started
Poison potion,
saying,
like,
as soon
that's
as he
a-
died, I was like, got him with the old potion, huh?
Yeah, no, that poison potion is definitely a fun card, especially when you get that to go off. That's.
Well, I
that's
figure,
awesome.
Billy, are you gonna be at the pack crack? The next pack crack?
The one at Leedrick Studios?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Heck.
Hell yeah. That's in Hibbing, right?
I think. Yeah, I'll be there. I think Erica's coming too, but I'm not sure.
Ooh.
Hell yeah. Maybe we should, just a quick teaser. What packs are you picking? You can pick any.
Ooh.
Packs you picking?
Honestly, I'm probably going 2 from 1 and 2 from 2.
Ooh.
Ooh,
The
okay,
even
okay,
spread.
okay.
Yeah.
What
Tyler.
one hot take, Harry? Me and him were discussing it this morning. It's like I would like to pick 3 and 1, but Harry brings up a good point that when you're playing Gen 1 and Gen 2 boosters in a draft pack, and you open Flame of the Infinite,
Yeah, for Gen.
feels
1
pretty
packs.
good, man.
Yeah.
Feels
and-
pretty good. So I was thinking 3 and 1 from Gen 2 to
Oop.
3 from 2, 1 from 1. But now I'm thinking 2, maybe 3-1. I mean, you get a Flame of the Infinite.
I was
Oof,
able.
that's
I was
some
able to turn
spiciness.
him over first. We were both talking about Gen 2 creatures and the modifiers, but then eventually you think about just some of those staple Gen 1 cards. That's like if you just
Mysterious Door,
if
Junk.
right? It's like if you just get one of these cards, it could easily just make the game so much more in your favor by just having the cards. But no, I mean I'm kind
yeah,
of
but I was thinking the same thing. Like maybe I should be doing like 3 from 1 and 1 from 2. But honestly, there's a lot of good like uncommon and common
gens.
cards.
it's all right.
I mean,
Yeah. But that's
in
the other.
Gen
That's
2.
the other thing that we were discussing is there's a lot of good uncommon and common cards. Like you have Snake, you have. I mean, Lead Boots is kind of irrelevant, but Gen 1 though, think of all the creatures are bad, but the equipment like Knight's armor is pretty fire. I think +5 or
I can't tell
+5
him how
AL is
many.
pretty
I
good.
can't tell how many hot takes Tyler's made tonight. He's just firing off all these this thing is good, this thing is bad. I think we're definitely gonna have a very the comments might be like, man, this guy and his takes are.
Sorry. After me and Harry talked for 8 hours, I'm just ready to lay it down for everyone.
Give him a go.
This is bad. This is good. I'm right.
Anyway.
Always. I win every tournament.
Oh, okay, all right. But anyway, I think
I'm purposely being an asshole. I don't actually think those things.
Purposely.
Purposely. All right, with that, I think we're gonna get out of here. Let's call that for episode 6. Again, I just want to do a big shout out to Alec. I think that's awesome that he was able to come in here. And just back 1 second for, like, obviously, on YouTube, make sure you're, leaving comments, things. I like that we took a comment from the Discord, but obviously it does really help us if you guys do also, even if you just paste that same comment you made in the Discord and put it in the comment section for YouTube. All those things pick up in the algorithm if people are talking about it, if it's being pushed, and like it really does help us get this broadcast. Yeah, I know, getting really meta with everything, but it really helps us push out all this Ward content so that other people can get their eyes on it, get it viewed, and hopefully we can keep growing and building this community. So, like, again, it's like I'm glad that people are in the Discord leaving their comments, but definitely, if you could also just go over to YouTube, go in the comments. If you have to copy and paste it right from Discord, do that. I'm not worried about how it gets in there, or if whatever. It would really help us out. So again, just a reminder, hit the like, subscribe, all that stuff on the YouTube end, Spotify, follow, leave comments, please. That would be great. And as you can see, I mean, they could end up here, and we definitely will talk about them. But with that, guys, we're going to call it. Have a good night.